from a land far, far away, we look to England, the Premier League, and three teams in particular: Crystal Palace, Tottenham Hotspur and Newcastle. Three teams who you wouldn't have expected to win a trophy this season, but they did. The Premier League this season, in terms of the share of trophies, has been remarkable, each team winning a different trophy in the English League. No doubles, no freaking trebles, and no Man City domination. It's been quite a nice change, and for Crystal Palace especially, winning their first trophy under Glasner, they have played some exceptional football and beaten some great teams, and they deserve it. Likewise for Newcastle, getting back into the UCL and also winning the Carabao Cup against Liverpool, a great team who have dominated this season. And of course, how can I forget Mr. Ange Postecoglou? You know, I've really dug into him this season. I thought it was the fall of him. Maybe he's about to rise back on his perch, but that second season pandemonium that he seems to get, even if he did finish just above the relegation, he has delivered once again and earned Tottenham Hotspur a trophy. Now these three teams will look on to go further, all three of them earning themselves a European qualification. Spurs into the Champions League with Newcastle, and so are Crystal Palace into the Europa League. Could one of these teams go and win a European trophy now and go one step further? Who knows? But for sure, this season, those three teams, whether you like it or not, they have done well and exceeded expectations. Oh, Palace, Newcastle, and Spurs. Wow, what a season they have had, eh? Incredible. Would everyone have predicted that? Yep, I got all three. Tick, tick, tick. No. Nobody would have predicted that. Glasner, Postecoglou and Eddie Howe would have done what they would have done. I think maybe Newcastle, you could have said, maybe come into top four. Maybe. I'm just going to adjust my accent. But yeah, top four, top five. And Newcastle even won a trophy, which is crazy when you think about it. Postecoglou, on the other hand, I think people didn't expect him to have a shit season like they did in the Prem, but then he's salvaged it in some way. It'll be made out to be a really good season for him because he's been the manager to break it after Conte, Mourinho, Pochettino. The amount of managers they had who could not win a trophy for them is the reason why he will go down as a legend or a hero. With asterisks at the moment, if his season 3 is really good and he's writing the script right now on his phone or in the director's box, and he manages to make some transfers and maybe they go and smash it in the Champions League and get back top 4, and 100% will still be kept. But for now, there's always that star. Realistically, they've won a trophy, and if you was marking their test, you'd probably give them an A or even an A star because it's what they've wanted in ages, even though they finished 17th and got battered by a lot of teams in the Prem. But over for Eddie Howe and Newcastle, incredible. Back in the Champions League, back with the Carabao Cup. It is everything they wanted. Their history deserved a trophy, and even Alan Shearer couldn't win it, but Alexander Isak and Jacob Murphy could. Joshua, no, it's his brother, and Eddie Howe rewarding the Newcastle fans. Anton Decker loving it. I'm a Celebrity will be put on hold because they were celebrating like madness. And that is what the Geordie boys were about. And it was also the same for Crystal Palace, where Glasner, boom, boom, and boom. Mateta was in the room, boom, boom, boom. Won them their first ever trophy. Just absolutely crazy if you just come a little bit closer. Another season where they finish round about mid-table. They always do almost come up to 8th, 7th sometimes, but they drop off a little bit. They've got a trophy to add to that now, and beating Man City was a great achievement. At the time, they was the better team, I'd say. They did score an offside goal, didn't they? Henderson saving that penalty. Listen, there's a bit of controversy there, but for the most part, a great team to win it. Great season. And for the future, very I will bite that trophy like they all do with their fucking medals. Why does everyone do that as well? Biting medals. Because, one, you're probably going to scratch your medal, and two, your teeth not going to hurt afterwards. Maybe it's the dumb thing, but I'm not too sure about that. For them teams, though, they're going to have one hell of a season next season. All three in Europe. It is going to be crazy. And what do we have now? 8 Premier League teams in Europe. Unbelievable. So, what awaits from next is incredible. And Ange Postecoglou, even though he had a dodgy season, he has managed to rope it back by doing the unthinkable. And winning a trophy. We've got to start at Tottenham Hotspur, where Ange Postecoglou has had probably one of the worst Premier League seasons ever in Tottenham Hotspur's history. Getting battered left, right and centre. Their form going into that final was dreadful, but it was the same for Man United, and Man United performed just like a relegation team, despite battering Villa in the last game of the season. It was almost like watching two teams fighting for relegation, fighting just to stay afloat. That Europa League final was not the best, but Spurs defensively was good and they got the job done. They was slightly better than Man United, and just stuck to his word. They've had the little trophy parade. James Maddison's had a dig at Roy Keane and co, and he's now made one step further to go on next season and make season 3 better than season 2. So Ange, we'll see if you can stick to your word, but you've got to give him credit where credit's due. He's stuck by his team and he's earned them a trophy even when they was at their worst at times. So now I think he deserves a slight chance to see what he can do next season, but he's treading on thin ice for sure, because the horror that he had in the Prem was not up to standard. And now we're moving over to the other side of London, where we see Selhurst Park. Teta, Eze, Dean Henderson, the whole squad, they've really had a good go, and even though they've still finished 12th, I think they've always been, especially in the Glasner, a team that you are excited to watch, and for the most part do play good football. They've got some great players. If they can keep them, I reckon in the Europa League, which Glasner has previously won, they've got a pretty good chance. They will meet Unai Emery at some point, but they've got a pretty good record against Aston Villa. So could one of these Premier League teams go and win the trophy? Potentially. And as for Newcastle, they step foot back into the Champions League. I honestly think they're better than Spurs, so Spurs will probably go out in the group stage, but for Newcastle, they'll be aiming to try and get into those later rounds because they had the group of death last time, and Eddie Howe needs to strengthen, needs to get more players in, but what a season he has had. A-star performances, and now they will look to kick on next season. Who let the dogs out? It was clearly not the English Premier League, because wow, what a season we have had. Right, the Europa League, the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. Yes, we've had a different title winner, but a Liverpool really underdogs. You'll have to make your own mind up there. For Palace, for Spurs and for the Geordies, YA man, it has been incredible. Nobody would have thought Spurs would win a trophy this season, especially the season they have had in the Premier League. They've been shit. I think, 22 losses, something like that. Maddison's dishing it out, and I don't blame him because he has won a trophy, and I think you, as a footballer, to keep receipts and then respond like he has done is all in a little bit of banter, you know what I mean? You've got to give and go, and these pundits, they will give, but do they want to take? You know, it's a little bit of a one-way battle at the moment. Maddison can give it back as well. So for that, that is what he's been getting up to. In terms of Spurs, listen, Postecoglou has turned a shit season into a good season. He has kept his word, and from me, as much as I've slated him and said he's been shit, and he has done, that thing of always winning my second season has been absolutely awe-farming, let's be real. To go on and win it as well after saying that is tremendous stuff, and I have to give it credit, even though in the Prem, countless teams have slapped them up. Wolves, I don't know if Wolves have won, but it seems like everyone in the Prem gives them a good game. They beat Southampton, but Leicester fucking beat them. Do you know what I mean? They have had a terrible season, but you can't take away from them the trophy. You never expect them to get it. Man United were awful. That was like watching a relegation battle in the Europa League. But we'll now move on to the two teams who have had a really, really good season. The Geordies, Newcastle, getting that Champions League spot, which was not very good for Villa. But we played shit against Man United. It's just, that's a whole different ball game, realistically. Newcastle did secure Champions League, even though they lost to Everton, and they delivered a Carabao Cup, their first trophy in God knows how long. Alan Shearer's there, running like a rocket down the wing, and what a celebration for them. Winning it against Liverpool as well. It weren't an easy task, and Eddie Howe, etc., has really gave his all to this season. They've came back stronger, and boom, they've had an incredible season. Likewise for Palace, still finishing 12th, but as Dean Henderson said, finishing 12th again, who gives a fuck? We won the FA Cup. Something like that, Dino. He played brilliantly. Should he have been sent off in the FA Cup final? That's a different thing to talk about, realistically. Probably, but the whole game, Palace were the better team, and City have they've performed shit. Apart from, I suppose, that game, they have gone on to secure Champions League and ended the season very, very well. But you look at Glasner, you look at Eddie Howe, both going to be in European competitions next season, Glasner in Europa League. Can Palace go and win the Europa League? There's Villa in there, there's a few other teams sprinkled, but Palace have got a really good squad. They need to invest well, and of course they can go on and push to potentially challenge in Europe and potentially win a trophy again. But their first trophy in the club season, I think their success story is really good. Boom, boom, boom. Mateta, Eze. You just love the squad players, and I think as a fan looking in, you feel happy for Palace. They've got great fans. Their songs and chants, I must say, are very, very good because we love you, we love you, we love you, because we support the Palace, and that's the way they like it. It's just infectious, isn't it? And for them, 100% round of applause. And likewise with Spurs, I suppose, and Newcastle. Everyone was hating on Spurs, and the only thing is, if they didn't win that trophy, Ange definitely would have got sacked. I don't know if he will. He's made a statement that his third season is going to be better. But overall, when you look at these three teams, underdogs, definitely. I don't think you'd have predicted any three of them winning a trophy this season. And so to take them off the likes of Man City and even Liverpool if they go on and win the Carabao Cup, it's great to see. It shows the diversity in football. And I think this season, will go down as Premier League, I'm not sure, but it will go down as an all-timer in terms of the share of trophies. Absolutely incredible. And the year of the underdog. Champions League and Europa League. Who would have thought that Crystal Palace would have achieved that? Crystal Palace have had great investment, but they haven't had the likes of the Saudis coming in or these massive billionaire owners. I don't know, their owner might be a billionaire, but they've done it the right way. Glasner has achieved an amazing accomplishment. He will now be fighting in Europe, and all of these three teams realistically need to get some squad depth. You probably look at Spurs with the biggest squad out of these three. Newcastle for sure at the end of the season. You've the likes of Isak getting injured and them losing a few players. Their squad's very thin. They will be able to pull in a certain calibre of player now, especially qualifying for the Champions League. Even Palace, if they do the right recruitment, being in Europe, Palace could go far if they really do focus on it. Could we have another story like West Ham? That would be amazing, really. And I think football at the moment, especially in the Prem, it's exciting. As long as Man City don't come back and fucking destroy and dominate everything, we like a little bit of change. And for Palace and even for Tottenham, they've had good seasons. The future does look good. Tottenham will seek to improve their squad and go forth in the Champions League. It's another new experience for Ange Postecoglou. He's never had this type of squad in the Champions League, playing with Celtic a few times, but not necessarily getting that far. He now has a chance to better that and try to really put his stamp in European football. Who knows where that will lead him. Maybe he comes across against Eddie Howe's Newcastle, but judging on this performance, it does look like they would drop out quite quickly. Take nothing away from the seasons that all three of these teams have. The year of the underdog. Different teams, whether you finish mid-table, in the relegation or top 5, they're picking up the trophies, and that's what the Prem's about. Is it really the best league in the world if 17th can win a bloody trophy? The year of the underdog is complete. Now the future is bright for these three teams. What lies ahead? I tell you what lies ahead. Europe again, Europe again, Europe again. Ole ole for none of them actually. None of them were in Europe last season, was they? So they get an extra shot. Newcastle, Spurs are back in it. That I've never actually, apart from that Liverpool final, they've never really succeeded well in the Champions League, haven't they? And I don't expect them to do it this time. Maddison will get to play in the Champions League. We'll have to see how he performs, Solanke, etc. There's these new players who don't have that European experience. Will they rise to the heavens and look for the elders, or will they look for the youngsters coming through? They've got Palace and Newcastle. They will be wearing a little bit thinner now. So it's their job to put their heads into gear, the sporting directors, the managers, whoever does with that, and recruit good players, because especially Palace and Newcastle, they're in the Champions League. They'll be able to recruit bigger talent, and you've got to scout the field, look at the talent and go, yeah, that one's 9 out of 10, that one's 10 out of 10. Come to my pad and sign the contracts, big boy.